I love reptiles, and you do too. But today, we're going over the top 5 reptiles that kind of suck to own. My name's Adam, this is Tilly, you're watching Wiccan's Wicked Reptiles. Stick around. So in this list, this is obviously subjective. These are the ones that I think kind of suck for this reason or that. And with all of these species, there's a trade-off. So there's things that are amazing about them, but this is the part that sucks. And maybe for you, the part that sucks is not something that sucks at all. So again, subjective, none of these animals suck. I love them and I have most of them in my collection. So let's just start with number 5, Frill Dragons. Frill Dragons are amazing. As every child who has watched Jurassic Park knows, this is the coolest looking thing that you've ever seen. Now, of course, this is not a dinosaur. This is a real lizard that is alive right now in Indonesia and Australia. This is the Indonesian version. But the reason that I think that these animals, although fascinating to look at, I mean, look what they look like with their frills fully out, just amazing, is because they just eat so much and the variety and the way that they consume insects. So these guys are insectivores. She eats a ton. He eats a ton. I got her as a female, but it's a boy. So freaking much food. Now, this means insects every other day. There's a lot of animals in my collection. For example, my bearded dragon, which comes from a similar part of the world. Well, not to her, she's Indonesian, but the Australian variety anyway. He's gonna eat insects maybe twice a week, and then he's gonna eat salad for the rest of the week. This animal's not gonna eat salad. Maybe in the wild they'll eat, green here and there, but they're insectivores mostly. And they often go off of food. So for example, Tilly loves superworms, but superworms aren't the greatest staple for a diet. So we give her crickets, and we give her some roaches sometimes, we give her other types of worms as well, but she really likes the superworms. Then on occasion, she'll stop eating the superworms. So I buy superworms just for her, okay? Then all of a sudden she just goes off. And now I have all these superworms that I guess I can feed off to other things. But what if you don't have a zoo in your house? Then you're gonna have a problem, right? Now, the reason I love having frilled dragons is because, first of all, look at this animal. Now, not always are they like this. Sometimes they can be moody and they do have these fangs for teeth almost that if they get you, it's not the end of the world, but it kind of sucks. And you don't really want to deal with a moody frilled dragon. Now, the thing that can suck about them being this calm is you never see them frill up. I've only seen Tilly frill up one time. I came down late at night, I turned the lights on, I was right at the enclosure, she opened her eyes, she just woke up like that, and then I scared the crap out of her. So, that's the only time. She's never really angry with me. I can kind of touch her and poke her and prod her, and she doesn't seem really to mind. So that could suck too, but in general, frilled dragons are kind of amazing. Moving on to number 4, you knew it was gonna be on the list, chameleons. I personally think chameleons are some of the coolest animals on the planet. I've been very lucky to find a bunch of them in the wild, found panther chameleons and carpet chameleons and all these amazing species. And I think that probably panthers, jacksons, and veileds are the most common, so we'll talk mostly about those, although we'll talk about carpet chameleons too, because I think that they're gonna be really common really soon. Either way, they're fragile and they're delicate, especially when you get into the Jackson's chameleons. Now, Jackson's chameleons on the dinosaur theme, should we do a video just about extinct? We could. If you want to see a video about extinct animals, I did one on the other channel. It's right here. You can watch it right here. Thank you for hitting subscribe to the new channel. Appreciate you. You're the best. Anyway, they look like a tree triceratops. Well, personally, I think Parsons chameleons probably look more like tree triceratops, but Jackson's chameleons, which are from Kenya, they look triceratopsy as well. And even look at their Latin name, right? The reason that they kind of suck is because they really do need a drop. They need a drop in temperature and a spike in humidity at night. So we're talking into the 60s at night with humidities up to 100%. And then during the day, humidity goes back down and then the heat goes back up. So this is something that's very difficult for maybe someone who's not really into reptiles to replicate. It's something that takes a little bit of thought. It's way more difficult to do this than just get a leopard gecko and set it up the way leopard geckos can be set up, Super duper easy. And most chameleons have complications like this, I'll call them. And I mean complications in a good way. Things that make them interesting, right? And that's a really good thing for some chameleon keepers. If you ask Bill Strand at the Chameleon Academy, hey, why do you love chameleons so much? He's gonna say because they're intricate and interesting and unique and all these things that for some people also mean, well, they also have care that's kind of crazy and difficult and most people can't do. But for someone like Bill or Neptune the chameleon or anyone who follows them and really loves chameleons, this is something that's endearing about chameleons, where for someone like me, I got a carpet chameleon because they're easier. I would love to have a Jackson's chameleon. I just don't know if I'm the right owner for one. Now, I know I'm saying that some of these reptiles suck to own, but you know what doesn't suck? Replacing your bad habit with a good habit, thanks to today's sponsor, Fume. Listen, not every bad habit has to be bad, so let's just take the bad out of the habit, and that's what Fume is here to do. Fume is an innovative, award-winning flavored air device that does just that. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. No chemicals, no electronics, no smoke, no vapor. Flavored air. What I love about this product is it feels good. There's no guilt behind it at all. And the flavors are just right. They're not overpowering, but you know that they're there. Whoever put these together really knew what they were doing. Very simple. Ergonomic design. Love this, by the way. A little bit of a fidget spinner on the back that controls the airflow. Open it up, put in your favorite core. I love the crisp mint. That's what I got in here. Close it back up. Never need to charge it. No electronics. Shopping is something we all put off because it's hard, but switching to Fume is really easy and enjoyable. And with over 150,000 customers served and thousands of success stories, you could be next. So join Fume in accelerating humanity's breakup from destructive habits by picking up the Journey Pack today. Head to tryfume.com/Wickens or use the QR code on the top of the screen and use code Wickens to get 10% off when you pick up the Journey Pack today. Or hey, check out the Fume Solano that launched last November. You can upgrade your Journey Pack to the Solano to enjoy the premium walnut barrel and onyx black coated mouthpiece that has a smoother finish. And you can still get 10% off. Thanks Fume for sponsoring today's episode. Let's get back to the list. Moving on to number 3, dart frogs. I know dart frogs are an amphibian. I don't know why the comments section, if I use an amphibian, it's not a reptile. Yeah, you're part of the hobby, right? Anyway, get off my soapbox here. The reason dart frogs are on the list is because they're fragile. Now, I don't think it's fragile, maybe just as fragile as chameleons, honestly, but I just love them for a couple reasons, right? So the good things first, you can put them in display enclosures. They're gonna move around a lot during the day. They're hopping skittles, I like to call them. They're very colorful, very bright. They come in a whole bunch of different colors and patterns and morphs and all of this. So that's the good part. The thing that kind of sucks for a lot of people, let's suppose you live in Arizona, somewhere where it's dry. These animals need it humid. 70 plus humidity, up to 90 a lot of the time. And this is just, you can't not do this. This is an animal that when they dry out, they will die. I've had issues before. Remember back in the day when the room was different and then all the dart frogs were over here? There's a register up there. And I live in Canada, so the furnace is on for most of the year. So I had a protective piece of PVC over this rack so that warm air couldn't get in there and dry in the enclosures. I took it off to service it one day. I forgot to replace it for 2 hours and it dried out the enclosures completely. The animals didn't die, but if I left it like that all night long, bad news bears, I'd have dead frogs in the morning. So for this reason, they have specialty care, not to mention the fruit fly situation. Fruit flies get all over your freaking house. Ask the zookeeper Aria, who the bane of her existence is catching fruit flies and fruit fly traps, I should say, in the basement where these guys are in the next room. They just get freaking everywhere. And then you have to make the cultures. It's kind of expensive if you buy them. They're just kind of a pain. But for me, I like them enough and I've found enough hacks to make it easy to care for that I think that they're worth it. Where I don't think most chameleon species are worth it for me, I definitely think the dart frog species are. I mean, I have dart frogs literally tattooed like several places on my body. I love them. Moving on to number 2, retics. I mean, reticulated pythons, I have some, I love them, they're amazing. And the reason that I think they kind of suck to own is the same reason that most people who really love retics love retics. My issue is they have a wild food drive, crazy food drive. And to me, I think they're more unpredictable than other species. And I know there's gonna be someone in the comments who's this retic aficionado and tough guy. Oh, but you just need to know how to read retics. Like the best reticulated python breeder on the planet get bit by a reticulated python that he said wasn't gonna bite him. Okay? So no, it doesn't matter how long you've been keeping these things, they have crazy food drives and they can sometimes think they're getting fed out of the blue, even when you get them out of the enclosure. Now, of course, I'm not trying to scare you away. A lot of reticulated pythons are very, very quick, they have crazy food drives, and in my opinion, I think that they're not quite as predictable as something like a Burmese python. Now, with that said, people like a challenge, and they are challenging. They're way more challenging than Burmese pythons. I just don't like that challenge. I prefer an animal I can pull out and feel super secure with, comfortable. The kids are down here, put the, snake on its lap. Of course, watch the kids and handle the sharp end. Don't be a silly goose here. I handle them. I like handling them. They're fun. But again, it's not something where I'm as comfortable as with a Burmese python or a ball python or something like that. Now, crazy colors, amazing morphs, beautiful, super smart, arboreal, or semi-arboreal anyway. I can't wait to show you the crazy reticulated python. enclosure that I built. It's way back there. I'm just waiting for the plants to grow in. There's frogs in there, and I'm so excited. If you want to, please hit subscribe so you can see that video. It's coming soon. And number one, reptile that kind of sucks to own, we're talking about semi-aquatic animals. And what I'm talking about here is bigger semi-aquatic animals. Sailfin dragons, caiman lizards, Chinese water dragons, Australian water dragons, things like that. And I think the great example is Chinese water dragons, because you can buy them at Petco and PetSmart for 40 bucks, which is so irresponsible, by the way. Oh, just take it home in a 40-gallon and you'll be okay. No, you won't. These animals will nose rub until their faces fall off, which is what you see here. Now, these are Alex's Agamid's animals. He rescues them like this, and then he puts them in grow tents in places where they can't see through, because anyway, the whole thing is that he's not doing this, he's taking them in like this, and he's a great keeper. The point I'm making here is animals that are semi-aquatic, and all these examples, semi-arboreal too, they need water standards also. So you need your heat, your humidity, perches, basking, diet, and then on top of that, now you're taking care of basically a turtle tank, because a lot of these animals need big areas to swim. And I know I see these, you know, oh, I put a 28-quart stair-like tub in there. No, not enough. You need area for these things to swim. It takes up tons of room in your house, right? Which could be said for a lot of these guys on the list. It takes up tons and tons of resources. They're expensive to maintain a lot of the time. And overall, they're just much more difficult. With that said, if you have an amazing enclosure like the one, I'll show you some B-roll of it right now, that you could put a semi-aquatic animal in there, semi-arboreal, semi-aquatic. It's 8 foot by 4 foot by 6 foot. But how many people can have something like that in their house? They're expensive to buy. They're expensive to set up. Don't get me wrong, they're worth every freaking penny. And if you want something like that, definitely buy them from a reputable manufacturer like Custom Reptile Habitats, who sent me that one. Full video coming soon, I promise. But the point is, you have to take care of another factor. And for me anyway, I don't like taking care of aquatics. I know I have turtles and a fish tank, but I have one. And it takes up as much time as doing an entire rack of this stuff for maintenance. So that's why I think semi-aquatic stuff kind of sucks. Let me know in the comment section below, what animals do you think kind of suck to own, but you know, put a positive spin on it as always. And please do hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Really appreciate you guys. And as always, a special thanks to the Patreon supporters. You guys are freaking amazing. You guys get videos early, discounts on merch, you get one-on-ones. I love doing those. All that and more for as little as $1 a month. I do videos Mondays and Thursdays, which means I'll see you in the next one.